If you're a real estate investor and are wondering how to raise and leverage private money to make more profit on every deal, then you're in the right place. On Raising Private Money, we'll speak with new and seasoned investors to dissect their deals and extract the best tips and strategies to help you get the money, because the money comes first. Now here's your host, Jay Connor.
Because of you. You're the reason we're here. Your success, every one of you, your success is very, very important to us. And that's just what gives me my purpose, to get out of bed in the morning anymore these days. Thank goodness my real estate investing business is more or less on automatic. I got a great team in place of buying and selling houses. So now myself and others, such as Crystal and Chaffee, we get to focus on you, and we get to focus on your business. So let's go ahead and get down to the topic for today, and that is 5 easy steps to raising all the private money you'll ever want. And I'm going to give you these 5 steps. And as I'm giving you these 5 steps, I'm going to ask Banjo, Erica, Kara Broyles, Crystal, Chaffee. I mentioned these other guys and gals that are in our have graduated platinums, mastermind members, to just engage with me in the conversation. So if you're taking notes, here's step number 1 of 5 of raising all the private money you'd ever want through your own connections. So that's the caveat. These 5 steps that I'm going to give you is exactly how I put the system together to attract private money without asking for money, and how to do it with my own connections. You can duplicate the same process. So step number 1, if you're taking notes, is make your list. Make your list of potential private lenders. Again, we're talking people in your own market, people that you've got in your own contacts. So Crystal, I'll start with you. When you started out raising private money, what were some of the categories of people or types of people in your contacts that you put on your list to contact about being a potential private lender, and why?
Sure. So, kind of starting out was, friends, family, and even breaking down family to be, okay, obviously mom, dad, but aunts, uncles, cousins, extended family, things like that. People that I know in the community. So church was a big one for me. Connections from the volunteer work that we do. Who do we know there? Who do we know that they know? So making connections in those places. Who am I connected with through networking? Who are my coworkers? So obviously I had a job that I went to every single day when I started. And so who are all my coworkers? Who are the people that I've met through, like, I worked in a hospital system. So there were people that maybe I didn't work with on a day-to-day basis, but my goodness, I connected with them on and off throughout my career. So there was a huge network of people there. So I was really just looking for anybody that came to mind. And then once a category came to mind, and you also provide for those who attend the live event categories for them to consider. But, once a category came to mind for me, if it was an addition to that list, then I sat and exhausted that list. And then obviously jumped into my cell phone, went to my email contacts, things like that. This was a little pre the whole Facebook thing. But wherever you have contacts and connections. Sorry, that was my dog. Sounded like something hurt her. But anyway, anywhere you have contacts and connections. So anybody that I thought I could think of that I knew that, I said hi to. So even community things where if I went to, there's certain stores that I went to regularly, I would write down who were the owners and people that I saw. Because you talk to those people. You walk in, hello, et cetera, et cetera. So.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing, Crystal. Banjo and Erica, when you started out, of course, you all have raised millions in private money now. But when you all started out, how did you approach the exercise of making your list? What categories of people, why did you choose those people to go on your list?
When we first started, obviously friends and family, we talked about different professionals, like the dentist, doctors, people like that we would go see, old neighbors.
Person who sold your last car to you, the realtor that might have helped you out with the house, just the categories are endless, but our main focus when we first started, I went through my cell phone and my Facebook list and called everybody, and then Erica went through her same two lists and Facebook messaged everybody.
Excellent. Kara, when you started making yours and Jonathan's first list, what categories of people did you put on the list? I think Kara might have froze up on us. Did she freeze up?
As what Crystal said, and oh. Do you hear me okay now?
You're still freezing up
Are
a
you
little
there?
bit, not as bad as you were.
How about now?
That's much better.
Yes.
Okay. Really the same as Crystal and Eric and Erica. And honestly, I'm still working on my list, because there are people who I'm like, oh, I forgot about, them. And because I believe in our program so much, and I know it's such a blessing for people, I'm excited to share it with all sorts of people. So I just always keep my ears open. And if I feel like, it's something that maybe could bless someone, I'm excited to share it. So, but yeah, definitely the same: church friends, family, and yeah, just people we know and care about. So, and care about us.
Kara, you just said something that that I want to drill down on for a moment. The phrase you just said was thinking about somebody that you could bless.
Right.
So talk about that for a moment, because typically, traditionally when you're borrowing money, whether it's real estate or anything else, you don't so much think about blessing the bank.
That's right.
You don't so necessarily think about blessing the lender. Share with everybody here this mindset that you have of being able to bless a lender. How in the world does that work?
Well, we're using, people, everyday people who, we have 7 private lenders, and our private lenders are normal people. They are not millionaires. They are, they work a steady job. They put money into retirement. They put money into savings. They try to be good stewards. And so if it can be, it's a win-win. And so when we can give high returns safely and securely, like you teach us, it's a blessing. And I can give you the example of my mom, who was basically without an income pretty instantly when my dad passed away, and had some money tied up in a money market. She was making like $700 a year from that return. And so when we started doing this, we told her about our program, and she couldn't sign up quick enough. And now she's making $12,000 a year. So to see her have that now, of course, brings us great joy. But it is a blessing. And yeah, with that mindset shift, you're ready to share it with all people you meet. So
love it. Thanks for sharing, Kara. Chaffee, you're a king of networking. You teach people how to network, how to grow their network, etc. What advice would you share with everyone on step number 1, making the list?
But it's hard for me to top what Kara just shared. Only let me, I guess, put a different flavor on it. Is that when you embrace the belief that you're going out there and you're helping people, then you're going to want to talk to everybody and anybody. It doesn't really matter who that you're talking to. And what the biggest challenge that I've run into when I work with people that want to go out and talk with people is they think that they're asking for something, they think that they want something, they need something, and so they get this feeling of need and want versus going out there and having a feeling of leading with a servant's heart and helping people. And that's the big difference that prevents people from talking to somebody. And I'll tell you, I've been a part of several businesses, several multi-million-dollar businesses. And one of my mentors, one of my trainers in networking, she could go up to anybody. She's standing in line at the grocery store with a gallon of milk for her kids and strike up a conversation with the person behind her. because she believed in what she was doing so much that she just shared her story. And that's the key, is that when you're building your list, a lot of people are like, you know, I don't have any friends, or I don't have any family. And as Banjo said, the first place to look is your phone. How many people do you have in your phone? I promise you probably have at least 50 to 100 people on your phone, right? How many people are you connected to on Facebook? How many of these people can you go out and help and lead with a servant's heart and bless, as Jay and Kara are saying? And when you firmly believe that you have something that's going to go help people, you're going to want to share it with everybody. And that's the biggest challenge, is that overcoming the belief of, well, you know, they're giving me money, so, you know, I need money for this deal, and I need this and I need that, when in reality is, it's a, as Kara said, it's a win-win. Everybody wins. Like, you're getting money to do this great deal that's going to help the community, and it's going to help a buyer, and it's going to help a bunch of people, and at the same time they're getting a greater return. Let's do this. Let's make this happen. And so the best networkers that I know are the individuals that believe in what they're doing, and they're going out there and they're doing it because they want to help as many people as they can. And so get that in your mindset and embrace that with your business, and you're unstoppable. You'll raise millions of dollars without even knowing what you just did. So,
Well, Chaffee, you just said a phrase that I want to highlight. In the sentence, you said, you've got this deal that you need funded or you need money for, which triggers me to ask you the question, when should you be raising private money or attracting private money? And when's the worst time in the world to be raising private money?
well, I think everybody here should know that answer, which is before you find a deal, you should get the money first.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Hey, I just had a strategy session with somebody earlier this week, and they got your book, and they got your course, and they got some of your materials, and they're like, what's the first thing that I need to do in order to get into the Jay world, and in order to do things that Jay does? And flat out, I was just like, get the money first, right? Like, the first thing you need to do when you do this real estate business is go out and raise private money, and raise it the Jay way, right? Because, you know, a lot of people, and I know you'll dive into this, they look for a deal first, right? So, and you know, what's the use of looking for a deal that you can't buy, that you don't have the money for? So get the money first, always before you need it.
Right. I mean, you know, something that just drives me crazy, makes me want to run into a brick wall, is you'll have other educators in the real estate space. Has anybody ever heard an educator or teacher say, oh, just get the deal into contract, the money will show up? Anybody ever heard that? Yeah. So I don't want to be stressed out and wanting to know where the money's going to come from. When I'm putting a deal in a contract, I want to have the funding ready to go. So let me share with everyone like, you got all these contacts. I mean, you got all these contacts in your cell phone and everywhere, right? I want to give you two specific categories. If you haven't made your list yet, if you're just starting out to raise private money for real estate, if you're just starting out, I'm going to give you two categories that I want you to zero in, drill down on first, and then you can move to all those other contacts. And I'm going to tell you why I want you to drill down on these two categories. The first category is, I want you to make a list of the people that you regularly see every week. If you go to church, who do you see every week and shake hands with every week? If you go to the same grocery store, you know, who do you see every week? If you are in a civic organization, who do you see every week? The reason that category of who do I see every week? I mean, we're all creatures of habit. We go to the same places all the time. What restaurant do you go to all the time, for goodness sakes? Right? So where are you going consistently on a regular basis? And who are the people that you see and know at those places? The reason that category is a great category to start with is because you've already got the trust built in a great way, right? And trust is foundational in your warm market, and credibility in your warm market when you're looking to raise private money. So who do you regularly see all the time? Make that list. The other category of people are people in your cell phone that are retired. Who have you got in your cell phone that's retired? Now, the reason that's such a great category is because if they're retired, then there's a pretty good chance they've got retirement funds, particularly if they were in the corporate world or, in fact, I've got a friend that is retiring from the police force in our local area this coming December. And he contacted me this past weekend and he says, Jay, I've got almost $750,000 in retirement funds that I don't want to leave where they are in that 401k, and I want to move them with you. And so retirement, people that are retired, that opens up just a great, easy way to talk about self-directed IRAs. Well, if you don't know what a self-directed IRA is, or you're not comfortable talking about those, then you for sure need to get registered for the live event, October 23, 24, and 25, because we talk a lot about how you can use people's retirement funds and have them in a self-directed IRA account where they can fund their deals. So those are the two categories, if you're just starting out, that I want you to start with. So that's step number 1 of 5. Let's move on to step number 2. Now, you got your list. You got your initial list. In fact, in my new Private Money Success System training and at the live event, I've got this exercise called the top 44, your top 44 potential private lenders. So you got those identified. So step number 2 is now it's time to talk. It's called TTP. It stands for Talk to People. You've got your list. So we're going to have a casual conversation, or what I call step number 2, the opening conversation. Now, from my experience, there's 2 kinds of conversations. There is what I call the direct method, and I bet you can guess as to what the other method is called, which of course is called the indirect method, right? So that's 2 different ways that we can start conversations. Now, Banjo and Erica, particularly Banjo, has got a pretty creative way of starting conversations with people, even if they're throwing trash in a dumpster behind the store or whatever. But anyway, Banjo, I'll start with you, and then Crystal, I'm going to come up to you, and then Kara, I'm going to come down to you. So, Banjo, how do you got your list? You got your list. I heard you say a few minutes ago, you got your list. You started calling people.
Yes, sir.
When you call them up, what in the world do you say to them to where you're not coming across like you're chasing, begging, selling, persuading, and desperate? Because you all know desperation's got a smell to it, right? So we don't want you to be stinky smelly around your potential private lenders. What do you call up and say to them?
Well, it's funny you asked that question because I was just thinking to myself as you were talking, when I was in the very, very, very beginning of the real estate and raising private money. And it's very, very hard to wrap your head around the thing that Kara was talking about you're actually offering people an opportunity, because it's such a great blessing for us real estate investors as well, that we kind of only look at that side of it. So what I did was I did what you taught us to do. I had to go, buy the script. The opening call script for private lenders is what it's because until you get familiar with everything and start really being able to wrap your head around the fact that you're actually offering people an opportunity, that helps you stay on track. It helps you stay off of your knees, begging for money and all that stuff. Basically, you call them up, you chat it up with them a little bit. Hey, it's a long time since I talked to you. How's the dog? How's the family? This and that. Look, man, I don't know if you know or this or not, but Erica and I have been investing in real estate, and we're opening up our business to people that we know and trust. You're probably going to be interested in it, but only if you answer yes to the following question. And that question is, do you have any liquid capital or retirement funds that are not giving you high rates of return safely and securely? That was my spiel. Now, I will tell you from experience, after you call about 50 to 75 or 100 people or whatever, be ready for the one who says yes, because I was not. My first person that finally said yes, I was so taken aback and yes, you do have money that is not making. And anyway, I didn't get him as a private lender, but I learned from that experience.
So what you just shared, Banjo, is what we call the direct method. I also
Yes.
call it the magic question.
Hmm.
And so for those of you that are taking notes, that direct question is, do you have investment capital or retirement funds not giving you a high rate of return safely and securely? And you shut up. Let them answer the question. I can tell you, if they do have investment capital or they do have retirement funds, there's a good chance in today's market they're not so happy with the rate of returns that they can get, particularly as it compares to what we can offer. So, Crystal, you made your list, you're calling people. Maybe you want to talk about the indirect method, maybe you don't. What do you say to people? You got your list. What in the world are you going to say when you call them up to where you don't sound like you're begging?
So I'm just going to be straight up. I didn't call people. I didn't go that route. I actually made a point to have a plan of what I was going to say when I was seeing people in person. So I was making more personal contacts. And if it was someone that was in my warm market, but that I was going to have to get on the phone with because they weren't local to me, then I was just telling them how excited I was about what was happening in my life now, and that I had made this big change, and this is what I was doing. And so I went with what I do best, enthusiasm. So I didn't necessarily utilize like the exact, like, this is the direct or the indirect method. I approached it with all of my enthusiasm. And when you start talking about it, I'm one of those people, by the way, Jay, if I go to a restaurant and I come back from it, you're going to want to go. That's all there is to it. And I can't shut my mouth. If I found something great, I'm telling people. So this is just that. I just started talking. I was like, oh my gosh, you would not believe this. And I started telling them about it. And they're like, how do you do that? Well, let me tell you. So that was really how I approached it. That was what made sense for me. So I never really, I know how to do the direct and the indirect method. So if you'd like me to share what the indirect method is, then, we can go there. And that would simply be if I were to approach them and I would not directly ask them if they had retirement capital, or liquid funds that they weren't happy with the rates of return that they were getting. I would actually say, so I've now opened my business to people that I know and trust. And I wondered if you might know someone, anybody that's connected with you who's not happy with the rates of return that they're getting with their retirement capital or their liquid capital. And now that opens the door for the opportunity for that individual to now share. And a lot of times what they're going to say is, well, wait a minute, what about me? Like, you're asking about, this person over here. What about me? I have some. So it's just a really nice way to open that door without being very, very direct in asking them specifically.
Let's drill down on a word you just said. You said you shared your enthusiasm. You shared your enthusiasm. So in other words, you gave quote unquote birth to private money.
I did.
Right. Well, share with everybody what we mean when we say you gave birth to private money.
So when people have babies, what do they talk about? You cannot get away from them telling you, or, they don't go into any conversation and not share photos and stories. And it's endless, right? Oh my gosh, had a baby. Let me tell you all about it. Let me show you pictures of my baby. Let me tell you about my baby's doing today. They giggled, they laughed, they sat up, they crawled, blah, blah, blah. So it's the same thing with private money, that level of enthusiasm. And when you're enthusiastic about something and you truly love it, you do want to share it with people. So it's incredibly authentic. It's a very genuine way to connect and share what's going on. And that's what you should be doing. You should be that excited about your private lending program. You can't wait to tell everyone you know.
Love it. Kara, you got your list put together back when you started. How did you contact people and what did you say?
I don't like being third because I feel like I'm just, saying everything that they've said. But so I took more of the approach like Crystal. So when we, started our new business, we are of course excited to tell people that we've started this business. And then the conversation organically pretty much turns to funding without much work, I think. That's people are just curious, like, oh, how are you able to buy, your homes, and what do you do? And so then it's a great way to just say, well, it's pretty amazing. We have been taught this new strategy called private money lending, and it's where, we use everyday people's either liquid capital or retirement funds and give them a high rate of return, and blah blah blah. So I go to that spiel. So that's really how I've done a lot of our conversation. I also didn't really call up anyone directly. We also used an opportunity to show one of the houses that we had renovated, and invited friends and family to come and see, hey, look at this house that we've renovated. We want to share. We love you. We want to share what we're up to. And we've shared it that way, how we've purchased the home and now selling it, and how everyone is getting this massive check as well as us. And then, what is the absolute best is that now we get referrals from our private money lender. So our private money lenders are talking to their friends and family because they want them to get a high rate of return as well. And they're like, go check out what Jonathan and Kara are up to. And so we're dealing with phone calls and conversations with people who, we might know a little bit or maybe not at all. And we're sharing the program now with them because they are hearing great things from their friend that they trust. So, yeah, hopefully I answered your question.
Yeah. So what we've learned here is you can start it over the telephone. You can start it in person, the conversations in person. You can use my scripts, or you can, be so enthused about what you got going on, you just can't help yourself from talking about it. Step 1, make your list. Step 2, and by the way, I'm giving you all a 30,000-foot view of these 5 steps right now. At the live event, October 23, 24, and 25, we drill way down on these steps at the live event. So step 1, make your list. Number 2, talk to people from that list. And step number 3 is another way to start conversations. Step number 3 is another way to what I call get the word out as to what you have to offer on automatic. So step number 3 is using the 16-minute audio that we call stress-free investing. I have recorded this audio for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of our members of our private money community. And in fact, I think I just saw somebody.
Are you feeling inspired by the knowledge you gained in this episode? Then head over to jconner.com/moneyguide. That's jconner.com/moneyguide and download your free guide that shares 7 reasons why private money will skyrocket your real estate investing business right now. Again, that's jconner.com/moneyguide to get your free guide. We'll see you next time on Raising Private Money with Jay.